We weren't being chased at first. It was walking beside us, matching our steps, breathing when we breathed. And the worst part is, I don't think it ever wanted to catch us. I think it wanted us to keep moving. This happened about 3 years ago, when I went camping with my friend Mark and his girlfriend Lena. Mark was the kind of guy who made you feel safe anywhere. He was an Eagle Scout, always outdoors, always prepared. The type who could start a fire in the rain and navigate using nothing but the stars. If something went wrong, Mark handled it. That's just how it was. Which is why what happened that night still doesn't make sense to me. We drove about 3 hours out, deeper than I'd ever been into the woods before. No campsites, no signs, just a narrow dirt road that barely fit Mark's pickup. At some point, even GPS stopped working. Mark liked it that way. "This is real camping," he said with a grin. "No people, no noise." That should have been the first red flag. Because there was no noise. Not just quiet, but wrong quiet. No crickets. No wind in the trees. No distant animals. Just this heavy, suffocating silence that felt like it was pressing down on us. Even Lena noticed it. "Is it always like this out here?" she asked. Mark hesitated just for a second. Then he shrugged. "Depends on the area." But I caught that pause. We set up camp anyway. 2 tents, a small fire, some food, normal stuff. Mark kept things moving like nothing was off, but I noticed he kept glancing into the trees more than usual. Like he was checking something. Or expecting something. Night fell faster than I expected. 1 minute we could still see the outlines of the trees, and the next it was just darkness beyond the firelight. We sat around the fire for a while, drinking, talking, trying to shake off the weird feeling. Eventually, Lena said she was tired and went into the tent. That left just me and Mark. That's when we heard it. At first it was faint, easy to ignore. Footsteps. Slow, measured. Somewhere just beyond the firelight. Mark tilted his head slightly, listening. "Probably a deer," he said. But his voice wasn't as confident as before. We listened. The footsteps didn't pass by like you'd expect. They circled. Slowly. Deliberately. Crunchy pause. Always just out of sight. "Okay, that's weird," I said. Mark didn't respond right away. The sound kept going, looping around us in a wide circle. Then it changed. The rhythm wasn't natural anymore. It started matching something. At first, I couldn't place it. Then I realized. It was matching us. When we shifted in our seats, it shifted. When we went quiet, it stopped. Like it was listening. Learning. And then we heard something else. A clicking sound. Sharp wet. Like someone trying to make a noise they didn't fully understand how to make. Click, 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 pause. Then something that almost sounded like breathing. But wrong. Too heavy, too uneven. Like air being dragged through something damaged. Mark stood up slowly. "Get in the tent," he said quietly. "What is that?" I whispered. He didn't answer. He just repeated it, louder this time. "Get in the tent." I didn't argue. I climbed inside and zipped it shut, my hands shaking more than I wanted to admit. Inside, everything felt smaller, thinner, like the fabric wasn't enough to keep anything out. I could still see the firelight flickering through the tent walls. And then, a shadow moved across it. Tall, too tall. It passed slowly, blocking out the firelight for a second. Then another step. Heavy, deliberate. I held my breath. The footsteps stopped right outside my tent. Silence. Then that breathing again. Closer this time. Right against the fabric. I could hear it dragging in air, holding it, then letting it out in a slow, wet exhale. And then, it made a sound. Soft, almost a whisper. Hey! My stomach dropped. It was my voice. But wrong. Like something had heard me earlier and was trying to copy it. Hey! Closer this time. Right against the side of the tent. I couldn't move. I couldn't even think. And then it shifted. The shadow moved away from my tent, toward Mark and Lena. For a second, there was nothing. Then Lena screamed. Not a startled scream. Not a scared scream. A full panic tearing scream. The kind that doesn't stop. Run, Mark yelled. I burst out of the tent, not even thinking, just moving. Lena was already out, stumbling, crying. Mark grabbed her arm and pulled her forward. We ran. No flashlights. No direction. Just blind panic through the trees. Branches hitting our faces, roots catching our feet. And behind us, those footsteps. Heavy, faster now, but still wrong. Not running, not chasing, just keeping up. No matter how fast we moved, it stayed the same distance. Like it didn't need to try. At one point, I realized something that made it worse. I couldn't hear it behind us anymore. I slowed slightly, heart pounding. And then, crunch, right next to me. I turned my head slowly. I couldn't see anything in the dark, but I could hear it. Walking beside me, matching my pace, breathing with me. I ran faster. It stayed. We kept going until Mark suddenly shouted, "The truck!" I could barely see it through the trees, but it was there. We scrambled inside, slamming the doors. Mark fumbled with the keys, finally getting the engine to turn over. And that's when something hit the side of the truck. Hard. The whole vehicle shook. Lena screamed again. "Gio," I shouted. Mark threw it into gear and sped down the dirt path, barely controlling the wheel. Branches scraped along the sides, rocks slammed under the tires. But we didn't stop. Not until we were far enough away that the trees started thinning out. Not until the silence broke. Not until we could breathe again. No one spoke for a while. Then Lena whispered, "Is it gone?" Mark didn't answer. He just kept driving. That's when I noticed something. A sound. Faint, but unmistakable. Breathing. Slow. Wet. Uneven. Inside the truck. I turned my head slightly. In the back seat, there was something there. I didn't look directly at it. I didn't want to see it. But I knew. I could feel it watching us. Learning us. Mark must have heard it too. Because he didn't stop the truck. Didn't slow down. Didn't turn around. He just drove faster. We never went back for our stuff. We never talked about what we saw. But a week later, Mark called me. His voice sounded different. Tired. Shaken. He told me he found something in his truck. Mud. Thick, dark mud. Pressed into the fabric of the back seat. In the shape of footprints. Too long. Too narrow. Not human. And not animal. I still hear it sometimes. Late at night. That clicking sound. That broken breathing. Right outside my window. Trying to get it right. Trying to sound like me. And I've realized something I wish I hadn't. It didn't follow us out of the woods. It learned the way. I know someone is watching me right now. Not outside, not through my window. From inside the walls. I didn't believe it at first. I told myself I was being paranoid, that living in a place like ours just does that to you, makes every sound feel closer, every shadow feel alive. But then I found the holes, and I saw the eye. My name is Maya. I was 16 when this happened, and I lived with my mom in a rundown apartment building in Chicago. The kind of place where the lights flicker even when you don't touch the switch, where the hallway always smells like damp carpet, cigarette smoke, and something sour you can never quite identify. Our apartment was near the end of a long, narrow corridor on the 7th floor. And at the very end of that corridor was him. I never knew his name. He was always there, sitting on the windowsill next to his door like he didn't belong inside his own apartment, like he was waiting, watching people come and go. Watching me. He looked old, late 60s, maybe older, thin gray hair clinging to his scalp, pale skin that looked almost waxy under the buzzing fluorescent lights. But it was his face that bothered me most, because it never changed. No smile, no frown. And he didn't blink. I tried to tell myself I was imagining that part. People blink, everyone blinks. But every time I walked past him, his eyes were already on me. Wide, still, unmoving. My mom noticed it too. "Don't talk to him," she told me one night as we climbed the stairs. "Don't even look at him if you can help it." "Do you know him?" I asked. She shook her head. "And I don't want to." After that, I kept my head down when I passed his door. I'd fumble with my keys, stare at the floor, anything to avoid meeting his gaze. But it didn't matter. I could feel it anyway. That heavy, quiet stare crawling over my skin. Then one day he spoke. "Good evening, Maya." I froze. My hand was on the doorknob. My back was to him, but I knew he was looking at me. I turned slowly. He was still sitting there, same position, same expression. But now his lips were slightly parted. "How do you know my name?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Just stared. Then softly, "I hear things." A chill ran through me. I didn't say anything else. I just went inside and locked the door. After that, it got worse. Every time I passed him, he'd say something. Small things. 2 specific things. "Late again today. You were on the phone. You sounded upset. Your mother works too much." I stopped responding, stopped acknowledging him completely. But he kept talking. And at night, I started hearing things. At first, it was faint. A soft scratching sound, like something dragging lightly across the wall beside my bed. I told myself it was pipes. Old buildings make noise. Then came the footsteps. Slow, measured. On the other side of my bedroom wall. Back and forth. Back and forth. Always when I turned off the lights. Always when I tried to sleep. One night, I pressed my ear against the wall. The sound stopped immediately. Silence. Then, a faint whisper. I jerked back so fast, I hit my head on the bed frame. I didn't understand the words. But I knew one thing. That whisper wasn't coming from far away. It was right there, on the other side. After that, I started leaving the TV on at night, anything to drown it out. But sometimes, even through the noise, I could still hear it. Breathing. Weeks passed like that. Tension building, fear sitting in my chest like something alive. Then came the night everything broke. My mom had a night shift. She kissed my forehead before leaving. "Lock the door," she said. "Don't open it for anyone." "I won't." I meant it. When I got home later that evening, he was there. Of course he was. Sitting on the windowsill. Waiting. As I unlocked my door, he spoke. "Your mother isn't home tonight, is she?" I don't know why I answered. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I wanted him to stop asking. Maybe I thought it didn't matter. I just nodded. He stared at me for a second longer than usual. Then slowly he nodded back. I went inside, locked the door, checked it twice. Everything felt off. The apartment was too quiet, too still. I tried to ignore it. I put my bag down, turned on the lights, went about my routine. Then I took a shower, and that's when I heard it. A low, muffled sound. Not scratching this time. Something heavier, like a dull thud. I froze under the water. Listen, there it was again. From my bedroom. I shut the water off. Silence rushed in around me. Then, another thud. I grabbed a towel, wrapped it around myself, and stepped into the hallway. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I moved toward my room. Slowly, carefully, pushed the door open. Nothing. Everything looked normal. But something felt wrong. I stepped inside. That's when I saw it. A small hole in the wall, right at eye level. Perfectly round. Clean. Too clean. My stomach dropped. I took a step closer. Then another. And before I could stop myself, I leaned in and looked. I jumped back so hard I almost fell. There was an eye, right there, pressed up against the other side. Wide open, unblinking, watching me. My breath caught in my throat. I stumbled backward, shaking. No, no, no. I ran out of the room, into the bathroom. My hands were trembling as I turned on the light. And then I saw it. Another hole, smaller, near the mirror. I felt something inside me crack. I rushed back to my bedroom, looked again. Now I saw more. Tiny, almost invisible openings, scattered across the wall. Different heights, different angles. Not one hole. Dozens. My phone slipped in my hand as I tried to call my mom. Mom, there's someone here, there are holes. Before I could finish, bang, I screamed. Someone was pounding on the front door. Hard, violent. Open the door. It was him. I didn't drill THEM, he shouted. You have to let me in. The doorknob started rattling, twisting, jerking. Please, he yelled. He's still in there. My blood went cold. Call the police, my mom said through the phone, her voice sharp, urgent. I dialed with shaking fingers. The pounding got louder. The lights flickered, then went out. Darkness swallowed everything. And in that silence, I heard it. From inside the walls. Movement. Scraping. Closer. Something shifting between the spaces. Right behind me. A voice. Not from the door. Not from the phone. From the wall. Right next to my ear. Soft. Wet. You think those are the only holes? I couldn't breathe. My body wouldn't move. Another whisper. Closer. I've been inside for a long time. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember falling. The next thing I knew, the police were there. Lights. Voices. Hands pulling me up. My mom crying. They searched everything. My room. The walls. The apartment next door. But his apartment was empty. No furniture. No bed. No signs anyone had lived there for years. And the holes. Gone. Sealed. like they'd never been there at all. They said I was in shock, that I imagined it, that stress can do strange things. But they didn't hear it. They weren't there. I still live with my mom. Different place, different building, new walls, solid walls. I checked them. I made sure. No holes. None. But sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I hear it again. That slow, steady breathing. And last night, I found something behind my dresser. A tiny crack in the wall. Too small to see anything through, but big enough to feel it. Watching, I covered it, sealed it, taped it shut. But it doesn't matter, because I still feel it. That stare, cold, unblinking, waiting. I sealed every hole, but I still feel the eye, even when I can't see it.